Okay, guys, going to be going live with Jeremy Hartman. We'll copy this audio to the Strong Life podcast. And right now, 9:06 Eastern. Not going to be crazy long on the live today. So we're just going to wait for Jeremy to pop in. Jeremy and I are doing a seminar together in Cincinnati. I have the link in my bio. You could also send me a DM. But early bird special is ending soon. And I'm excited. We're going to be crushing a seminar together, and my focus is going to be on athletic strength training. I really see athletes today are just weaker than ever before. I just posted a throwback video. One of them was a couple years ago, and the other one was kind of pre-2010. So we'll let Jeremy, let's see if I could add Jeremy to the chat here. Here we go. Okay. Yeah. What's up,
Hey,
brother?
what's going on, man?
My bro, Jeremy Hartman. So I did a little intro, but people are just popping in, getting them hyped up. We've got a seminar coming up in Cincinnati. It's going to be on Saturday, March 1st. And my focus is going to be on the athletic application of strength training. And you're going to be covering powerlifting, and we're going to blend them together. But the way you coach powerlifting is applicable to athletes, which is not always the case, Jeremy, right? Sometimes we see kids who might lift a lot, but they don't move properly. And it's just been on my mind a lot. And then I posted a throwback video yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that.
And people are like, what the hell? How are these guys so strong and so powerful? And we're missing that. So I'm going to let you go first. What do you think, when you saw that video, or even, you train a lot of high school athletes, college athletes. What are some of the things you feel are missing and something that you're going to talk about at our seminar?
Yeah, just the strength piece, the foundational strength piece. That's the most important thing for anything athletic. You talk about speed, agility, explosiveness. If you don't have that foundational strength, no matter what cone drill you do, speed workout you go through, it doesn't matter. I got to work with one of the top speed coaches in the nation, Lee Taft. He lived in my area in Indianapolis. Even when I would go over and see Lee's speed sessions, he'd spend about 20, maybe 30 minutes on speed Zach, and the rest of the time the kids were strength training. They have to have that level. If you don't have it, you can run and do all the drills you want and show all the results you want. But if they don't have that, it's just the basics for everything. And all my athletes, like you've seen, the strongest ones, they're the ones that are the least amount injured. Or if they do have any injuries, they're small little ones where, hey, this could have been a serious one. This could have been this. But because you were strong in this area, it's really not that bad. You need a few days off or something, or just need to lighten it up and work around it. But I just think it's huge, and I think it's overlooked, especially with social media and the silly stuff you and I see out there. That video you posted, I mean, that kid was jacked, man. He looked like an athlete. He looked like someone you didn't want to mess with, or, catch on the football field, or look across from the wrestling mat and be like, hey, this is the kid I got to go up against. If you're a fighter, you want to look across the cage and be like, oh, shit, hey, I'm in for something good here.
Those guys were multi-sport athletes, trained, I don't even want to say trained. One of the kids, I was his elementary phys ed teacher, or two of them, from 3rd grade through 5th grade. And then when they went to the middle school, I had transferred there my 5th year teaching. So they were 8th graders. I went to the middle school to coach wrestling. And I remember even in elementary phys ed, a lot of tag games. But you know what I did every month was a different sport. We don't see that. So I would do things in elementary school like a month of soccer, a month of football, a month of tag games. Then in the wintertime was volleyball, basketball, floor hockey. I did a gymnastics unit. And those guys all went on to play college football. One of them became a strength coach. Not only a strength coach, he also became a track coach. He was the track coach and the strength coach for track. But the missing piece, as you keep saying, is strength. But we're not the type of people that do, it's just strength. It's just speed. And I see a lot of that. It's really just bullshit today, where the place is just doing speed work and everybody could move fast. But then I question, what safety have you provided for that athlete if he or she gets hit on the soccer field, football field, wrestling mat? There's no body armor. There's no joint, ligament, tendon strength. And guys who are also seeing this, I'm not sure if you follow Olin Kreutz. He played offensive line in the NFL, I think something like 15 years, something like that, 10 plus years, definitely. He's still in Chicago. He's got his own gym, private gym. And he said the missing link is absolute strength coupled with proper full range of motion through the joints. And so what I'm finding is the mistakes parents and coaches make, especially if they let a kid go and train on his own, or you have an uneducated coach, not squatting full range of motion, not doing full range of motion, pressing motions, pull-ups with half reps, lunges without big stretches, and they are strong in the comfortable positions, but then they're weak in those end ranges of motion, which is where if you don't feel confident or strong there, you let the position go. And so you lose the point, you lose the position. So Olin Kreutz is really saying these are guys that he's training that are college or prepping for the NFL. And he's basically saying their main problem is they are weak because they're coming from an incomplete program. So I'm going to be talking a lot about filling in the gaps at our seminar, jump training, offset training, some kettlebell training, odd object stuff. And then you're going to be tackling assessments in the big three power lifts. And I think that's going to blow people's mind. You were a very popular speaker at Underground Strength Con of how you broke. I don't think people were expecting such detailed breakdown.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just posted that from one of the guys from Underground Strength Con, Zach. He hadn't squatted or deadlifted in 8 or 9 years. He's one of the first guys that I brought up, during my demonstration time. And now he said, hey, this is the first time. And he said 8 or 9 years he's been able to lift pain-free. He just tagged me in that post. I tagged you in it. He goes, just from the technique stuff that we did at the Underground Strength Con, he was just amazed how we broke it down. I showed him what he needed to work on. I showed him where he was getting injured at. I said, hey, do you have this problem when you get down the hole? He goes, actually, I do in this position. I said, here's what you need to work on. Here are the assistance exercises, like besides here's your technique number one. Now here's your weakness area number two. You always look at technique number one. You always look at what special exercises, I get that from Louis Simmons, do you need to bring up those weak areas? And he's been doing it. And he goes, hey, it's been months. And he goes, I haven't had any pain. He goes, this is great. I'm slowly making progress. He's slow cooking the strength. Like I said, like, hey, if you could have done 20 more pounds that day, don't do it. You got your PR for the day. You got your goal for the day. Move on, save it, or else it's going to ruin your training cycle all the way through there. So when you can break down technique like that, if you look at all my lifters, whether it's my power lifters or my athletes, they're all technically sound. That's why we can, like you just said, perform full range of motion lifts. There's no problems there. I think half reps give you half results. There are a time and a place for partial movements, especially more for lifting and stuff, but you have to have those. If you look at my track and field athletes, I got some of the top jumpers in college right now. We had a triple jump NAI national champion. I got Brooke Kaufman, who's All-American, fourth in the nation as a true freshman. Zach, it's the same thing. Like a lot of the high jumpers, triple jumpers, their knees, oh my gosh, their shins, backs. That's a huge one for the high jumpers that have been here before. She's got a plate of armor around her abs and her back that she can go through the season good, where all the other girls are icing down, needing this, needing that. She's pretty much good to go and can train more. She can practice more. She's going to have better results. And as always, it matters at the end of the year when nationals comes around. You and I talk a lot about state for wrestlers. That's when it really matters the most. She's healthy by the end of the year. That's why she was able to do what she was able to do, where some of the other girls were breaking down out there.
I find it really interesting, Jeremy, that I'm seeing a lot of high school kids whose bodies are hurting, 15, 16, not even 17 years old. And then I look at the technique and the programming, and this is something you and I are going to address at our seminar. They're not controlling the eccentrics. The range of motion is incorrect. The positioning is incorrect. Like if they're benching, setting the shoulders, changing, what is your grip looking like? Is that even your best grip? Have you changed the grip, or are you just consistently overusing the same muscle groups by never changing your grip? I would really love to see dads coming to this seminar who are trying to help their kid with some training in the garage, and PE teachers, strength coaches, to really come and learn. I received an email last week from a phys ed teacher in New Jersey who said, we're going to implement strength and conditioning in the curriculum. And he said, my colleagues are very unhappy because they don't really know how to run the weight room. And so I think a lot of people think, hey, I'm squatting, you're squatting. What the hell's the difference? The way I explain it is, well, I drive a car, you drive a car, but we don't race in NASCAR. So there is a difference. Or why, I always said to people, if all squats are created equal, why aren't we all squatting over 1,000 pounds? We're doing the quote unquote same thing. So you and I are really going to tackle the details of how to do it. So I remember I was talking to you about some shoulder pain I was dealing with. You sent me exercises from Dick Hartzell, the original jump stretch guy. We were talking about tempo training. These little details that we're going to share and talk about and instruct at our seminar, in my opinion, are what give you longevity and keep people healthy and get them stronger. And it's kind of just strange. There's so much information out there. Why aren't we seeing a bunch of freaks? Well, the reason is we're just people are just seeing the surface. Oh, I'll copy that exercise. Why are you doing it? How do you do it? When do you implement it? What does your technique look like? And then you and I can really assess. I could look at somebody's physique and start assessing weak points. And we're going to go over a lot of that stuff. But what's kind of catching your mind lately with what you see with common mistakes? I know you have a lot of online clients and some of your college athletes, you're doing distance coaching with them, and then they come back on breaks or once a month. What's kind of catching your attention that you find is something you need to address?
Catching my attention is one thing you brought up is I've always benched this way. I've always squatted this way. I've always done it this way. Like you said, those muscle groups with that motor pattern, they keep getting stronger. You know, like if your chest muscles and your bench press keep getting stronger, but your tricep shoulders keep getting worse and worse and worse, well, eventually people start having some chest or some shoulder problems because they're not addressing those issues. They're not varying their grips. They're not learning techniques and stuff. We're like, well, you know, I bench real heavy, but then I go do chest flies. I'm like, well, you're trying to bench 300, but you're over there doing flies with 20s. Like that's not going to transfer into what you need. You need to do a wider grip bench press. You need to try sumo deadlifting to strengthen up your hips and your hamstrings at the same time. You know, you need to vary their training on here. Your squat stance, like if you're an Olympic style squatter, we had a couple of those guys, Zach, at the Underground Strength Con. And from there, you know, I moved them into wider stance squatting a little bit to work on their hips and hamstrings. And they're like, oh, wow, that actually makes my knees feel better on this position. Oh, I can actually squat below parallel, widen it out. Oh, I don't have my, you know, butt wink in the bottom, which was kind of bothering my back before, just because I widened my stance and I learned how to breathe and actually hold my brace like you taught me. So I think it's those things. When my college athletes come back, or some of those kids, they just get in bad habits, like you said. They're not cleans, aren't very good all the way through. They lost their range of motion, which is a big one. You know, me and Coach Garrett talk about that a lot when those kids come back. Some of those coaches let them get away with stuff. Now it's like, all right, now we got to fix this. I got to bring your strength back up. Now we can actually work towards improving as we go through.
I had a conversation with a kid at my school. I was like, hey, you were gone just for 2 weeks training with one of your friends, and you're already worse.
Yeah.
And he was just like exhausted. He was winded. He felt weaker on the movements. And I said, the difference is when we're here, we're training. There's a plan. There's a program in place. We have goals set. When you're at your own gym with your friends, you're just kind of sort of exercising / working out. You're touching your phone every other set. You're just sitting down and laying down on machines. You're not integrating your entire body, becoming a true athlete. And I think when we see the most popular things on the internet, we're really just seeing the freaks. We're not seeing the people, the majority, who are really not that strong and have to work through long periods of time to get better. An example of that is in my strength and conditioning class, I'm not getting the freaks in that class. And one of our kids is very thin, very undersized. And it's like, finally, he's squatting a plate. And to me, you all think, hey, a plate is just what we warm up with. There's actually a lot of athletes that don't know how to eat right and haven't trained properly, where it's going to take, a year and several years of work. And then the other thing I want to address too is, what about the kids that are really strong in the weight room, but they're not having a transfer to their sport? And so there's of course, the technical aspect, but that's where you and I are going to talk about special strength training, where you start maybe, okay, you're very strong in squat, bench, deadlift for your size, but now we have to add some special strengths or general specific training. So I'm excited for that. And also our host, Matt Wiedemer, he'll do a Q&A with us at the end. He's the gym we're going to be in is just absolutely fantastic, but he's in the fight camp for, one of the best fighters really ever, John Bones Jones. So it's going to be cool to be able to ask him questions about the programming for the best fighter, which looks like a very much, you know, I know it's conjugate based and has a lot of powerlifting and GPP stuff. Very Louis Simmons inspired, as Matt had spent time at Westside and did a lot of consulting with Louis.
It's funny, Zach, you mentioned that. Let's talk about that strength for a minute. You had Stipe Miocic, who was trained under Marcus Marinelli, who's an OG of Westside Barbell, you know, who is best friends with Louis Simmons. He's on the board of directors for Westside right now. And then you had Matt, who's training John Jones. If you look at some of his stuff, you know, he's box squatting with safety squat bar. He's maxing, you know, near max deadlifts with over 600 pounds. So the top two UFC guys are training absolute strength and have powerlifting coaches who are powerlifters, you know, in their background, getting those guys stronger. And Stipe had the longest run of the heavyweight title defenses. John Jones is one of the best fighters of all time. And these guys are training absolute strength. Yes, they're doing some athletic movements in there with stuff, but the key, like you said, they're getting stronger. Look at these guys' longevity. They're in the fight game, and they're lasting a very long time. Stipe into his 40s now. John Jones with all his title defense with everything. And those guys are getting trained by athletic lifters. They're getting strong, but they're remaining athletic at the same time, which is pretty much what our seminar coming up is going to be about. You know, we're going to teach you the lifts. We're going to teach you how to incorporate them. You're going to be athletic and strong. It's just going to be a great thing all around.
Yes, I'm very excited. We'll be in Cincinnati, Beat Personal Training. Jeremy and I have the link in the bio. You can send us a DM to get out there. And the last thing I want to say, Jeremy, is I really emphasize this. Underground Strength Con, people were so pumped to get in like this physical gathering. I think people are so tired of just scrolling through their phone and not really connecting with others. So could be a networking event for you, could be meeting some great people, but also the inspiration of being around the right people. This past weekend had an experience with my son, my buddy Joe, at Soar Next Winter Strong. And I think sometimes the best thing for an athlete or a lifter or a coach is not so much the X's and O's, but just being around the right people, getting in the right environment, getting in the right room. That elevates your performance. So we've got a guy that went through my SSPC cert. He's going to drive up the morning of from Tennessee, 4 hours drive, 4 hour seminar, 4 hours drive home. And to me, that was normal activity for me in my early years before social media. Somebody would do a seminar. I'd call out sick from work, get in the car, drive. I remember driving to Florida on a Friday and then driving home Sunday through the evening into the middle of the night, sleeping 2 hours and then going to work. But I think when you're hungry, that's just normal activity. That's what you do. So I'm pumped up to see everybody there. And like we said, would love to see dads there, or anybody running a weight room, anybody who's a strength coach in any environment. It's going to be a powerful learning experience.
Yeah. Well, Zach, that gym is amazing. We're going to be at, you know, I got to be down there. Matt just opened it up just last month. You know, I went down there, you know, for the Ed Cohen seminar, and we got in a chat with everything. I mean, he's got everything you need. He's got a great environment. He's got himself, his trainers. Like, it's just an overall, you walk in the gym, it's one of those you walk into and there's some serious business going on. You know, I was able to help Ed Cohen, you know, with a lot of people out there, and man, this is going to be great. It's during the Arnold weekend. It's a Saturday, 10 to 2. I mean, we're going to knock this out of the park.
Very good. So link is in both of our bios, or send us a DM. Jeremy and I are excited. We'll be seeing you guys right now. It's February 12th. And so we got 28 days. We're on a Saturday, March 1st. Can't wait to hang out with my guy Jeremy and crush 2 seminars in only several months together. So,
hell yeah, man.
Cincinnati, make sure you guys make the trip. Jeremy, thank you. Guys, we're out of here. Have a great day. We'll talk to you later.
Bye, Z. We'll see you, brother.
Bye, brother.
All right.